Tonight, road safety fears as the state government fails to secure a body to continue checking heavy vehicles. And students on the EP given the chance to experience a career in aquaculture.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Stage 2 of the new vehicle inspection scheme has been delayed, with the current Liberal government failing to select an appropriate tenderer. The previous state government launched Stage 1 of the new heavy vehicle inspection scheme at the beginning of the year.
Providing a safer environment for all road users. The previous state government introduced the scheme where all vehicles over 4.5 tonnes need to pass a roadworthy inspection before being registered.
The previous government made they implemented Stage 1. Stage 2 was going out for tenders and for somebody to actually tender for the operation and maintenance and the auditing of these vehicles across all of South Australia.
The current Liberal state government is yet to pick a tender for the project, delaying Stage 2 further.
We're not going to be able to have everything in place by the 1st of July. So what I've asked the Minister to do is to delay the implementation of Stage 2 until the 1st of September.
Small trucks used from farm to silo are at the forefront of the scheme, only used for 3 months of the year during grain and harvest season. Local member Jeff Brock has called upon the Minister for Transport, Stephen Knoll, to hold an information session at the Ag Bureau of Nelshaby to help put to bed some of the concerns surrounding Stage 2. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Securing a new deep sea port in the Spencer Gulf remains a priority for Whyalla Council, which is continuing to push for the project. The town's mayor says it raised the issue with new Premier Stephen Marshall, saying it's a much-needed investment.
At the March state election, Labor promised a deep-sea port in the Spencer Gulf to cater for growing exports. However, the party was cast from power, and the new Liberal government has yet to fully commit to the plan. While Mayor Lynn Brewer says the need for it remains.
It's all the minerals in the north. You've got BHP, you've got Prominent Hill, you're going to have Carapatina, and then there's a whole range of other prospects that we could be exporting from here.
With the Premier in town last week, Council used his visit to discuss the port's future. The issue was raised by the Mayor and CEO Chris Cowley during a meeting with Mr Marshall.
We've got the facilities here, they can certainly be improved and built on, but we need to be pushing Whyalla in all of this.
And while there was no commitment, Mayor Brewer says she believes the concept is still afloat.
They were interested in that and appeared to be prepared to commit to it in some way.
However, there's tricky waters to navigate first. Whylla's interest is shared by other councils, and there's other private proposals at Cape Hardy and Lucky Bay. But Mayor Brewer believes the new steelworks owner may be the wild card.
I think this is something that will be worked out with Mr Gupta and GFG. That's going to be an essential role in all of this.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Police have now confirmed a malfunctioning generator leaking carbon monoxide fumes is what caused the death of a Broken Hill father and his 2 sons last week. Lane, Jacob and Curtis Harvey died last Thursday night after they were overcome by the fumes in an underground room on Creedon Street. A specialist crew was brought in to remove the generator from the cellar, which was still too dangerous to enter, days after the tragedy took place. Coffin Bay is set to receive a tourism boost with a permanent hub to showcase the region's famous seafood. An oyster tour business has begun construction of the headquarters and tasting room, which is set to be up and running by the end of the year.
Boosting tourism in the quaint town of Coffin Bay.
It is definitely an untapped resource. The brand is second to none in Australia, the most recognised oyster brand in Australia. And the bay itself is very picturesque, very beautiful. But we don't have a lot when people get here. We've got the national parks. We just need more for when people come into town.
Tapping into the international markets, local business owners Ben Cattrall and Kim Thomas came up with the plan to build a permanent tourist hub alongside their oyster tour business. Most people perceive Eyre Peninsula as a seafood destination. You know, we have the best seafood in the world. That's not disputed. So when they get here, we want them to be able to enjoy that experience. And we just don't think that there's something that's readily available at the moment. The vision of the hub has had its obstacles. It's taken 2 years to be approved, working with the Crown Lands Department and Lower Eyre Peninsula Council.
We had to go through the process of getting the lease changed so that we could get it so it was able to be used for tourism pursuit.
It's hoped the hub will be up and running soon.
I'm a builder by trade, so it's all on my shoulders, so it'll definitely be ready by Christmas.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, some good news for oyster farmers, with the state government to waive the fees of growers for the next 2 years as they deal with the fallout of POMS disease. An outbreak of the disease in the eastern states has pushed many farmers to the brink, with the supply of oyster spat declining. The government has also extended the ban on the import of Tasmanian spat and farming equipment until at least March next year. Still to come tonight, New South Wales Police urging the community to take advantage of a firearms amnesty. That's next. A Port Lincoln man will front court after he was allegedly caught driving nearly 6 times over the legal blood alcohol limit. The 60-year-old was pulled over for a random breath test on Mortlock Terrace yesterday when he allegedly blew .292. It was later revealed the man hadn't held a driver's licence since 1986. He was reported for driving unlicensed, disqualified from driving for a year and had his car impounded. TFSA and the Port Lincoln High School have teamed up to provide aquaculture training and qualifications to Year 11 and 12 students. The new partnership means students will be exposed to future education and employment pathways in the industry so popular in Port Lincoln.
Educating the next generation of the aquaculture workforce.
I decided to get involved with the aquaculture program as Port Lincoln is a very aquaculture based town, so I just figured it would be a very good skill to have.
The program will see Year 11 students obtain a certificate too, and for Year 12s to complete units in a diploma of aquaculture, giving them the tools to further their studies at university or beyond.
Or just simply entering the workforce with some qualifications under their belt once they leave high school.
Getting their hands wet, the training is done through the Port Lincoln High School aquaculture facility.
They get a good understanding of the tuna industry, the abalone industry, the kingfish, the oysters, so they actually understand where the work is and what is making our town tick over.
And I think more than 70% of people employed in aquaculture are employed here, so there's good job opportunities for students upon leaving school.
The program ultimately allowing students to follow their career goals to potentially work locally.
I have interest in working on the tuna farms, maybe even a commercial diver, maybe in hatcheries, just anything to do with the aquaculture industry.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
A new study has revealed homes in the Port Augusta and Stirling North regions are among the highest using solar energy. Both tied at second, 54% of residential properties in the two regions have solar installed, ahead of many metropolitan areas, which fell below 40%. Real estate experts say it's no surprise a large majority of regional areas have taken proactive steps to combat skyrocketing electricity costs. As people around the country prepare for next week's NAIDOC celebrations, the Port Augusta region is ready for its biggest celebration yet. A whopping 18 events are scheduled for the week, and organisers are encouraging everyone to get involved.
Across the nation, NAIDOC Week is about flying the flag for Indigenous culture. And in Port Augusta, such a big celebration calls for an equally big schedule.
This year's the biggest I think we've had 18 events.
The celebrations will be spread across a variety of locations and will feature everything from a cultural day with traditional food and dance to a colour run, and this year's newest event, a NAIDOC Yarns Around the Campfire.
It's great. I think it's going to be greater for non-Aboriginal people to learn about Aboriginal culture.
The celebrations are open to people of all backgrounds, and they're expecting many from outside of town to make the trip for the popular event.
We're expecting people from Whyalla, Port Pirie, also Port Lincoln.
Amongst the various celebrations, the NAIDOC Week centres around the theme "Because of Her We Can," an opportunity to recognise the important role of Indigenous women in the culture.
Not much Aboriginal women do get recognised in the community, and I think having this as a national theme this year is absolutely amazing.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill Police are encouraging locals with unwanted firearms to hand them in. A statewide gun amnesty has been launched in a bid to reduce crime and to lower the number of illegal weapons across New South Wales.
Following on from the success of last year's nationwide gun amnesty, New South Wales Police are holding another one.
Across the whole of New South Wales, we netted just over 24,000 firearms and not quite 1,900 firearm parts. They were either disposed of or surrendered, or they were put up for registration.
Last year's amnesty was the first of its kind since the 1996 Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania. While the positive response was good news, the state government is doubling down to further protect communities from guns. And this time around, the amnesty isn't just for firearms.
Things such as handcuffs or tasers, pepper spray, things, crossbows, all those sorts of things. If anyone's got anything that's a prohibited weapon, they're able to surrender those to the police as well.
Those with unregistered firearms can also receive assistance.
Please make sure that there's no loaded firearms or weapons brought in, but bring it in here to the police station. We'll store it here until you can get all that process done so that you can actually get it registered and we can return it back to you.
The amnesty will run until the end of September. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
The Royal Flying Doctor Service is $22,000 better off thanks to the work of Whyalla volunteers. The town's RFDS support group raised the funds over the last 12 months. The cheque was handed over to head office last night during the group's annual general meeting.
And the Royal Flying Doctor calls here almost 550 times a year in the past year. They've been to transferring people to Adelaide.
Since 2008, the Whyalla branch has raised over $300,000 for the Flying Doctors. After the break, why a certain playground design for Broken Hill's Patton Park could be taking off. That's next. Former Deputy Police Commissioner John White is travelling the region promoting his latest book. It tells the story of those who worked in the police stations across the Mid-North, as well as other stations in the Northern Territory.
First police station established here was in 1873, and it was actually a room rented at the Port Pirie Hotel. There, not only was the room rented as the police station, but the hotel stable also acted as the police cell.
The book is 6 years in the making and has sold out within just 2 weeks of its launch. All proceeds will be donated to the Police Historical Society. A touch of nostalgia has found its way into new playground designs for a Broken Hill Park. 3 concepts for the upgrade of play equipment in Patton Park have been put forward, and it seems there's already a front-runner.
Almost 30 years ago, rockets like these were in many park playgrounds across Broken Hill.
Because of safety issues, they were actually removed sometime around about then.
And in the latest designs for the new playground in Patton Park, a modern rocket could be making a permanent landing in the city south. Also in the mix, a castle and a space lander.
Over the last 12 months, we've had quite a number of meetings and consultations and discussions of what we would like to see. Council managed to get a government grant. And so now we're full steam ahead.
The 3 designs are on public display. Council's now looking for feedback, particularly from one important group of the community.
One of the good things is we're going to ask kids. It doesn't matter what I think, it matters what the kids want, and that's what we're going to look at.
Kids from schools all around town will get the chance to pick what they think is best. The playground comes as part of a major overhaul of Patton Park.
It's going to give a really child-friendly area to be able to bring your kids, and it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for tourists. It's also going to be a fantastic opportunity for the people who live out the south.
It's hoped a final decision will be made at this month's council meeting. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Turning to sport now, and it was a top-of-the-table clash in Whyalla netball, with second-placed Warriors defeating ladder leaders Kiwi. In a tight contest, Warriors snuck over the line to move within a game of Kiwi with 4 rounds to play. John Hunt has more. John, it was a big win for the Warriors.
It was, Fraser. A top 2 finish guarantees you a finals double chance, and Warriors were keen to maintain that spot. Ladder leaders Kiwi stood in their way, a team that had given them trouble this year. In a close match, Warriors edged their rivals by 7 goals to stay 3 games clear of True Blue in second spot. In the other Whyalla match, True Blue was too strong for the winless YCW, defeating them by 15 goals in a 53-38 win. Down in Port Lincoln, the league had its first draw of the season. Wanilla and Imperials couldn't be split after 4 quarters, finishing up at 39 apiece. Undefeated Waybacks were too strong for Boston, and South's defeated St Mary's by 34 goals. In Port Augusta, Railways had an easy win over St Joe's, and the Magpies edged out the Vikings 46-42. And in Northern Areas netball, Broughton and Mundura were too strong for Southern Flinders. Orroroo had an 18-goal win over BMW, while Jamestown Peterborough had a narrow win over lowly Crystal Brook. To soccer, and a hat-trick from Sam Salvini guided Savoy to a 6-2 win over Adelaide Great Wall, and keep them in the hunt for promotion. Northern Demons' slim hopes of promotion were boosted with a 5-2 win over Gawler, Chris Maris scoring 4. They're 7 points off the promotion places with 5 rounds remaining. And it was the final round of Wireless Soccer's League Cup. Westlands overcame Wanderers 5-3, while Steel United tuned up for the final, thrashing Lions 6-1. The finals are next week, with Wanderers facing Lions in the reserves, and Steel taking on Croatia in the A's. So that's all in sport for this week. A big weekend this week for Wireless Soccer, with the first trophy of the season up for grabs. And we'll be back next week with all the results from across the region.
Thanks, John. Stay with us after the break. All the local weather details with Amy. And it looks like there's a change on the way around the region.
Yes, that's right. There very well could be, Fraser, with showers expected in some parts. All the details are up next. Welcome back. Mostly sunny around most centres today. A warmer 20 in Port Augusta. Whyalla hit 19 degrees, while Port Lincoln experienced a windier day. Checking the satellite, and despite some cloud building in the south, it's not bringing any rain at the moment. A high pressure system is keeping skies clearer in the north. If you're heading out on the waters tomorrow, there will be strong northerly winds up to 30 knots, while seas will reach 2.5 metres. Sunrise is at 7:25, while it will set at 5:22. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, and most districts are going to see warmer maximums. Port Augusta reaching 23, while Whyalla and Broken Hill sitting a couple of degrees below. Possible showers in Port Lincoln, Cleve and Coffin Bay. Wet and windy conditions will ease in Port Lincoln by Friday, with showers predicted to last into the weekend. Cleve may also see some wet weather on Saturday and a top of 14, with similar conditions in Woodner. Cloudy skies in Whyalla on Saturday, with temperatures sitting in the mid-teens. Maximums will drop slightly in Port Augusta from 23 to 17 by the weekend. Meanwhile, Kadina could see some showers after a fine Friday. Despite a mostly sunny Friday, possible showers and a top of 15 is expected on Saturday in Port Perry. A chilly 11 degrees forecast for Clare for the start of the weekend. And in Broken Hill, their run of lovely weather will stretch into Saturday. So Fraser, it's looking like we're set to see some wet weather in the next few days.
Thanks, Amy, and that's all the news to now. Thanks for your company. Enjoy your evening. Good night.